Hey everybody, John Cooper here, the real estate guy. I'm going to go in depth on residential purchase agreement. So you might have seen my other video, just came up on the Instagram, talked a little bit about legally binding contract, all that kind of stuff. So we're just going to kick this off. I'm not going to make this super detailed and craziness. We're just going to kind of give you an overview for everybody out there who doesn't really understand what the purchase agreement is. So what do we got going on here? First thing we got on the purchase agreement, it's like 15 pages long. I didn't print it all out. I didn't want to waste my paper. A lot of the stuff we do now is DocuSign and electronic. And so I didn't want to waste all my ink and paper. But anywho, I got all the nuts and bolts and the meat of this thing going on. First thing we got going on, disclosure regarding real estate relationships. What is this? This is saying I'm disclosing to you, the client, that I'm going to be working for you as an agent. It goes into seller's agent, buyer's agents, if you're doing leases, all that kind of stuff on there. Second page of that is the legalese. If you really want to fall asleep at night, go ahead and read this. Some attorney decided to dive in and go crazy. It's California, can you imagine, right? Third page here, possible representation of both buyer and seller. This saying that the broker, even if the broker has 300 or 400 agents across the country, whatever it might be, if the same broker is representing both sides, you got to have this signed up front and disclose this up front. If you don't have this up front, major disclosure issue, especially if they're representing both sides. So, next here is we got wire fraud. They threw that in there kind of this year. Wire fraud is actually the largest section of wire fraud that's happening, the largest portion of wire fraud that's happening is in the real estate realm. People are grabbing emails, going in, hacking email, and changing wire instructions. You got to be really careful with wiring money. First page of the purchase agreement. Boom, here we go. You put your name on the top. This is saying that I so-and-so, John Doe, John Cooper, whoever it might be, am writing an offer, legally binding contract, to purchase your property. So, first thing we got is a price. We have the property address, we have the APN, we got to make sure we identify what we're buying. There's a few things specifically. You can write your own contract if you want. You don't have to use these. These are just really boilerplate, makes everything easy for everybody because we can glean through them, hit the major points super quick. We've seen so many of them, we can go through them real quick. But if you want to write your own, you got to have who the parties are, buyer and seller. You got to have consideration. You got to have time. And I believe you have to have what you're buying. Those are kind of the major points. If you don't have consideration, you don't have all that kind of stuff, then you don't have a legally binding contract. So first thing we're going to do is put the address, the APN, identify what we're buying. We got to do a deposit. What that means is, Mr. Seller, I'm putting some money in an escrow account to hold your property off the market while I work on getting this thing sold or work on getting this thing purchased for you. So if you're getting a loan, you got to get your appraisal, you got to get your underwriting. If you're doing inspection, you got a home inspection, pest inspection, roof inspection, sewer inspection, mold inspection, lead inspection, whatever inspection. You can inspect yourself to death if you wanted to, just to make sure the house looks good for you. But you got to put some money into escrow, saying, "Hey, hang on to that while you take your property off the market for me." Then we go into the loan terms. Make sure your agent fills out what kind of loan you're doing. When I see something come through and there's no loan on there, and I get a pre-qual letter, who taught this agent how to write a contract? So put your loan on there. This protects your buyer. Let's say something happens and they have to go 3 points and they can't have the 3 points and all this other stuff. We can go into details about that, but this protects your buyer on a contingency for the loan. If this wasn't filled out right, you can say, "Oh, you're sending me a loan. You need to back out because of the contingency on your loan." You didn't fill it out in the contract, so we didn't know what you're doing. So technically, you didn't tell us what your contingency was in the first place. We're not going to let you out of that contingency. Next page we're getting into here talks about verification down payment. You have to have that in so many days. Loan terms talks about all that. And then we get into the allocation of costs. Who's paying for title? Who's paying for escrow? Who's paying for county transfer tax? Who's paying for HOA transfer tax? Who's paying for the pest inspection? Who's paying for the natural hazard disclosure report? All that kind of stuff. That's the, what do we got? Page 2 of 10 on that one. Now we get into some more allocation of costs. It has further stuff in there. And then we keep going through different items as we go down the thing. The number one thing you got to worry about on a purchase agreement is that the buyer, you are offering to purchase this property based on the terms in that contract. Now, agents stick their nose in here. They get in the middle of it. They think they know more than anything else. The terms of the contract are black and white. It's written on paper or electronic paper, it doesn't matter, but it's black and white. Everyone signed it. You get a 17-day contingency for your inspection, a 20-day for your loan and appraisal, 17 for the appraisal, all that kind of stuff. Well, 17 days hits and you don't have your inspections done, guess what my client should do? My client should send you a notice to perform to remove that contingency, even though you didn't do it. And agents always, hey, I've had agents, numerous agents come back to me and go, hey, look, I'm not going to remove my loan contingency until I have full underwriting approval. That's not right. You didn't say that in your contract. You said that you have 21 days for your loan contingency. Well, I'm sorry if your lender didn't get it done in time, but hey, you should have picked a better lender, or you should have worked a little bit harder, or you should have done it better to get that loan contingency. Don't drag it out and give me all these excuses under the word. We'll just send you a notice to perform, 24-hour, 36-hour notice to perform, or 48-hour in there. Boom. All we have to do then is send a cancellation, or you remove your contingency. Kick you out. We'll find a new buyer. You've already spent the money on your inspections. You've already spent your money on your appraisal. That could be up to $1,000, $1,500 easily. Now you're out that money. Make sure you buyer's agents understand that you're putting your client's money in jeopardy if you're not following those contingencies. The sellers are hanging out waiting for you to get done. We're doing our disclosures. We're doing everything we can on our end, but it's really the buyers who are trying to work through and trudge through the mess of the loans these days to get this stuff done. So that's a little bit of the basics about a purchase agreement and how it kind of works, contingencies and all that stuff. We'll go into more in depth. I'll pick out each one individually, and we'll talk about more of those on my Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. So John Cooper here, the real estate guy. Talk a little bit about the purchase agreement today. Check in for more, and we'll keep you informed.